Now, when you're involved with an avoidant, it's common for their behavior to trigger your anxious attachment, even if you're a secure person. Now, maybe anxious attachment style is new to you, or maybe it's something you've dealt with your whole life. But in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can better understand and manage your anxious attachment. So here's the four main attachment styles. Today we're talking about the anxious preoccupied and how you can heal this insecure attachment style. Now, someone with an anxious attachment style is preoccupied with a relationship or the idea of a relationship or the potential of a relationship, etc. And when someone's anxious attachment style is activated, okay, they can really struggle with independence and they tend to become codependent. Now, I had trouble before really understanding what codependency was, but simplified, when your happiness is your happiness, your well-being, your sense of self-worth, when all of that is dependent on somebody else's validation of you or their attention towards you, then you are in a codependent relationship to that person. Now, notice I said that you are in a codependent relationship to that person. It does not mean that you are in a relationship with that person. So you don't always have to be in a relationship with someone to have a codependent relationship to them. Now, Chris Seiter, a breakup coach on YouTube, he published this video describing codependency in terms of solar systems. Okay, so I'll be sure to share that video in the description. I'll post a link. But basically, each of us has our own solar system, okay? And we are at the center of our own solar system. That's where we're supposed to be, right? We are the sun. We are the center of gravity in our solar system. So this is you. These are your parents, your dog, work, friends, etc. Right? And this is how you live a healthy life, okay? This is a secure person by having this perspective that you are the sun of your own solar system. You are grounded. You are the center of gravity. You are secure. This is how everybody is supposed to view life. Everybody should have this perspective to live a healthy, secure life. Now, codependency happens when you become misplaced from your solar system, okay, and you end up having the perspective of being in somebody else's solar system. So you end up here. This is you now, and you are in the orbit of a boyfriend, a girlfriend, an avoidant partner, husband, wife, whomever, okay? You're not in your own solar system anymore. You are, from your perspective, you are now in their solar system. You are in their orbit. And you can see why this is not healthy, okay? Because you have abandoned your own solar system. You have abandoned yourself, your life, your goals. And in some cases, you've abandoned your family, your loved ones. So this is what codependency looks like. Now, when you're in this state of anxious attachment, okay, here's I want to get into the brain chemistry, okay? This is what codependency kind of looks like in terms of solar systems. I want to get into the brain chemistry when you're in this anxious state. Okay, so here's what's going on. Here's what makes you feel anxious. Okay, your cortisol is up, and this is causing you to stress and panic. Cortisol is the stress hormone. This is the fight or flight hormone. It gives you the fight or flight response. Okay, and your dopamine is very low. This is what's happening after a breakup, after an avoidant has pulled away, gone cold, and you've been chasing them. You get your dopamine from this other person's validation. You've become dependent on them from their attention. So anytime you receive a text message, anytime they like your post, or you see their post, or they view your story, any kind of validation or attention is going to give you a quick spike of dopamine. So even just sending a text message, just sending them a text message, okay? Just seeing that they posted something on social media, that gives you a quick dopamine spike. And when you're involved with an avoidant, okay, and they're breadcrumbing you, you really need to be careful, because chasing their validation can become an addictive behavior. Okay, so forget about their intention. Okay, it doesn't matter if they're a narcissist and they're doing this on purpose, they're trying to manipulate you, or if they're an avoidant who's just dealing with their own fears and insecurities. Forget about the intention. Okay, the effect is still the same for you. Okay, you are chasing their validation, and it has become addictive because of these quick spikes of dopamine and these high levels of cortisol. You need to know that, and you need to be so careful not to fall into these patterns. Okay, so I tell this to my one-on-one clients. First of all, forget about this breakup stuff. Forget about this attachment theory stuff. Forget about your ex. Right now, your cortisol is up and your dopamine is down. Your brain chemistry is imbalanced. That's what's going on. The only thing you should be focused on is taking the time to get your hormones back to normal. Okay, get your brain chemistry back to normal, and that can take some time. By some time, I mean it can take up to a few months. So if you're going through a breakup, or if an avoidant is pulling away from you and you've been chasing them for a while, forget about the relationship. Okay, you need to take the time to let your hormones return to normal levels so that you can make sound decisions. Okay, so we understand codependency in the anxious attachment style. We understand the addictive behavior that is caused by the chemical imbalances in the brain after a breakup, after a separation. We understand how this can become addictive behavior when you're chasing that validation, that spike of dopamine. So how do we heal this anxiety, this relationship anxiety? How do we heal this? How do we get back to our own solar system? How do we let our brain chemicals return to normal levels? Well, you're not going to want to hear this, okay? But this is the truth. You have to have a willingness to move on from this person. Okay, the core trait of an anxious attachment style is they have no willingness to move on, right? The anxious attacher holds on tighter and tighter and chases, holding on to breadcrumbs, holding on to the past, holding on to potential, with no willingness to move on. Okay, so the way to break out of this anxious attachment style is to let go and have that willingness to move on from this person, move on from this relationship. Because here's the thing, okay? You cannot force a connection, okay? You cannot force a connection. And once I really learned this and understood this, I stopped trying to force connections in my relationships in life when someone was pulling away from me. So I am telling you, you cannot force a connection when someone is pulling away from you. So don't even try. Okay. Now there's two things that you need to incorporate into healing this anxious attachment style towards this person. Okay. Those two things are no contact and time. Now, you've probably heard of the no contact rule, right? It's not about playing games. Okay. It's so that you can give yourself time to let your cortisol, your dopamine levels return to normal. Okay, so they can balance out to normal. Okay, and you've probably spent weeks, months, some of you may have even spent years chasing those spikes of dopamine from your avoidant person, from your avoidant ex, in the form of text messages, social media interactions, breadcrumbs, right? Well, and this is all while your cortisol is running so high, and it's been running high for quite some time now during these weeks, months, years, however long you've been caught up in this anxious attachment cycle, right? And you haven't actually given yourself an opportunity to step away from all of that, Okay, really step away so that your emotions, your dopamine, your cortisol can return to normal levels. Okay, this is what needs to happen. You really need to step away. I mean, really step away and go no contact and have that willingness to move on. Now, some people will go no contact, but it's not really no contact. They won't contact their ex, they won't contact their avoidant person, but they'll still lurk on their social media, right? They'll still pay attention to their social media, their posts. So that's not really no contact. That's not really stepping away and moving on, right? So when I say go no contact, it needs to be for real, okay? This is the only way you're going to give yourself that time and space to heal that anxious attachment style. And this can only happen with no contact and sufficient time. Now, I understand that some of you, you might share kids or property with this person, or maybe you work together, maybe you go to school with this person. It's going to be more challenging for you. Okay, so the interactions need to be minimal and they need to be business only. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut this person off for good. Okay, that's up to you. That's up to your personal judgment. But I am saying that you need to be willing to move on from this person. Okay, you need to stop chasing them. You need to stop looking for hints and holding on to breadcrumbs. You need to stop looking at their social media, right? You need to stop texting them. You need to stop calling them. You need to take a long break from social media, okay? During this period of no contact, waves of emotions are going to hit you, okay? They're going to start off big. But over time, they'll get smaller and smaller. They will weaken over time. You'll start to realize that with each wave that you get through, you'll realize that you can get through the waves, okay? And eventually, once your emotions have returned to normal, you'll find that those waves have stopped. Okay, and look, you'll be tempted to reach out to them during this period of no contact. You'll be tempted to reach out to them, but remember that's because you have an addiction to this dopamine spike that you get from reaching out to them, from possibly hearing back from them, right? Even if they ignore you, you still get a quick dopamine spike just by sending a text, right? So that's why you have this urge, this temptation to reach out to them. So you really need to be careful with that. You really need to step back and just cut contact with them, okay? So no, don't reach out to them. You need to get off of that addiction, because that's what it is. It's a dopamine addiction. So you need to get off of that. Don't reach out to them. And this requires emotional discipline. So remember that term, emotional discipline. That's what this is going to take, okay? A lot of emotional discipline. Now, here's the good news, okay? As hard as this is, and I know letting go, it's one of the hardest things in life, but as hard as this is, here's the good news, okay? It's not about sitting around all day and waiting for the time to pass, okay? You definitely don't want to do that. Use this time to invest into other relationships. Okay, you're allowed to explore other romantic relationships, because remember, you're moving on, so you're allowed to go out on dates. But also invest in your non-romantic relationships. Okay, so relationships with family, with friends, your kids, etc. Your relationships with your goals, okay? Your relationship with your own independence, right? This is all about getting back to your own solar system, okay? Because you've been orbiting in their solar system. Now you need to get back to your own solar system. So invest in those relationships in your solar system, okay? So to summarize, okay, if you're going to heal from this anxious attachment, in order for this to happen, to heal from this anxious attachment and detach from this person, you need to undergo a sufficient period of no contact with them, okay? If you must contact them for kids, for property, work, or school, then it is minimal and it's business only, okay? And you need time for your cortisol and your dopamine and your hormones to return to normal, okay? And that is only going to happen with no contact and time and doing the work on yourself, investing in yourself and in your other relationships in life, okay? You need to be willing to let go and move on. And you need emotional discipline. So use this time and energy to invest in the other relationships in your life, okay? Now, as for your ex, as for the avoidant ex, whomever, look, maybe this person comes back, okay? Maybe you two talk again. Maybe you don't. But that cannot be of concern right now, okay? That is not your concern right now during this process, okay? Your concern is healing, okay? Your concern is letting go and moving on so that you can fully detach from this person. And I've said this before, okay? Detachment, it is a liberating, it is such a liberating feeling. And, you'll find that once you detach from this person, detachment, it brings you a lot of power in life, okay? Detachment is such a liberating feeling. So allow yourself that time to detach. Now, I hope I brought some good into your life today. If so, please like and subscribe. And please share your thoughts and your stories in the comments section. Let's get the discussion going. If you have any questions, please share them. And if you think this video might help somebody, please share it with them. And until next time, you take care, and I'll see you in the next video.